Right. This is a revelation of the process and structure of what has been rendered in the East as karma and in the West as justice. Where's this come from? Not me, mate. So, you are the producer of karma and justice. So, you got to understand it in yourself. It is a macroscopic social global process, but if you don't understand it in yourself, if you don't map it in your own self, you can't understand the total structure. There is hurt and pleasure. Yeah? They're not qualitative, actually. They're not only qualitative, they're a true measurement of karma. Pain, suffering, hurt, all that lot is a measurement of karma. We don't know whose karma yet. We'll come to that, right? Not their karma necessarily. Let me elaborate. And pleasure too has a kind of karmic mass. So emotion, effect, instincts, pain, and all that lot measure actual losses or gains. And that is the value component of karma, right? But then there's a mental aspect which directs. Okay, let's say we're talking about pain. It blames another. It directs the karmic injury to that other. And it makes them feel better to blame another. But is it the fact? Whereas the person who hurt them, they have their own judgment. So it sets up a karmic contest between them. But if it's someone who doesn't judge but understands, then how can there be a contest of judgment? There isn't. So only the one who judges can get the karma. Now, here's the thing karma implies non alignment with actuality in some way. You may not understand actuality. You may resist actuality. You may blame actuality on itself, i.e., people for being what they are or whatever. And that implies not completely understanding life. So, karma and duality itself and the contest of good and evil only has a reality for those who judge. There is a beyond judgment and there's a before of judgment. The before of judgment, where people have a consciousness rooted in something more primordial, more natural, is like the shaman. They are Mother Nature, really. We all are, but they're consciously Mother Nature. Anyway, sorry. What was that saying? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. What the fuck am I talking to? Okay, where we go. Right, okay. Now, technology magnifies karma massively. Imagine being the program makers of some disgusting fucking viral thing that fucked up everybody, lots of people's lives. It could create a lot of hurt. It could bind people, distort their minds. It could produce loads of hurt. Who's going to pay for that? It's not one or the other necessarily, because effect truly defines judgment. If I was hurt by someone, but I kind of recognize it wasn't their fault completely and it wasn't my fault either or whatever, then that mitigates the karmic load. But it also mitigates the possibility of being paid it back. But if you committed and faithful to the truth, the fact, the actual, then you ain't got time for conclusions or theories about the actual. You got to understand it. If you're really serious. It's like in World War II, you don't fucking enter theoretical debates, you just act. That's what awakened people are like. They act. There's no actor. Who is the actor? Thought process. What is the thought process? What can we say about it? It's completely social forms, words, languages, images, memories of social experience. That's what thought the mind is. What part of that is you? Your past? Are you your past? So what part of it is actually you? What are you? So there's a body that has to bear the burden of thought and emotion. Are you all that? Let's be clear. Right now, you don't have to look anywhere except your own consciousness. What is it? There's thought, there's feeling, there's all that. But there's awareness. Where is awareness? You show me. In you right now, where is your awareness? Well, it's evident in everything you see. Yeah, it's nowhere to be found. What's that mean? Does that mean awareness is a kind of nothingness that contains all things, including the cosmos? Well, science says there's an outside world and you believe it. Outside of your consciousness. Outside of anybody's consciousness. What consciousness can go outside of itself to see if there's anything beyond consciousness? No one. Has anybody ever done it? No. They have gone beyond the limits of ordinary consciousness, but they never went beyond consciousness. So the world and everything is consciousness. It's like a dream. It's all in consciousness. But if you're judging or trying instrumental action, egoic action, trying to be a better version of yourself and all this stuff, it destroys clarity because a movement of ego takes over. Ego creates, it's not you. If you like what it says, there's an identification with it. And also, the organism itself thinks the ego voice is it. But before it came along, we were still us, weren't we? A happy toddler, perfect, healthy, natural, naturally loving, affectionate, all those things we've lost. And they got blissful, bright clarity, isn't they? Where's your earliest memories? I think maybe my earliest memory was almost like God, God, because there's perfect clarity. I remember I was like being carried by my mum. I must have been a tiny little thing. And she took us in I thought it was green or green. I think it's green, kind of tiled wall. I don't know where it was. It's like a swimming pool or something, with those showers. She took me in there and I saw the steam on the walls and all this exquisite clarity. That's all there was. Clarity. Oh, and in that clarity is everything else. The kind of feeling response, affection, all that lot. I remember that. And when we're children, our consciousness and perception was radically different. There was no abstract time. Yeah? We got an infinite time, vast time, let's say. But as a child, you ain't got time. You got a vast present space now. So the egoic consciousness is time, wanting to get somewhere, sad about yesterday, worried about its implications for today. That's ego. awareness in us tends to be with the ego. So the ego is there. But when we're a child, we weren't self-estranged consciously. There was only what is. What is that what is? It's the world, isn't it? The baby sees the world, don't they? And cats can be afraid of themselves in the mirror, right? Doesn't make sense when they are not. They don't think they are themselves. They see that they are awareness. And in that awareness is the organism. So is it justified to say when I am the organism? Now let's look at the qualities of awareness, right? We think it dies, right? We know the body dies, clearly. What is awareness? I say it has two nameable characteristics, but names and the characteristics are two different things. So see it yourself. You can do if you want to. It's nothing. It's formless. We could say formless rather than nothing. It has no form you can grab, and it contains everything. But where's the person in it? Where's time in it? Does it ever alter? What does it do? It illuminates what is. It doesn't tell you what is. And because it doesn't tell you or assert or anything like that, it's irreproachable. But we neglect it. We think thought and experts and all this lot are more valuable rather than us seeing. Because what we see and how we live when we're a kid, we're told it was wrong. Even though we're seeing, even though we're the healthiest things in this bullshit society, we were told we were wrong. That's what introduces the ego in the first place. A natural creature, why would they ever divide themselves against themselves? But if someone said, you are wrong, you should become something else, that creates a mental movement to become better. And that is the ego form. And when you decide, happens to that, I'm not criticizing desire, violence, sex, anything, right? I don't judge. I don't criticize. I render faithfully what is according to my perception, yeah? Can't remember what I was chatting about. Ego is karma. So society, because they're one structure. Intellect, ego, and society are one structure. The content of ego and intellect, the cognitive content, is social history, language, ideas, practices, experiences, all that bullshit. That is karma. And it wants to possess you. And it wants to not fund you. It doesn't fund you. It extracts through you. What is ego? It's not you, is it? It's society, isn't it? Through the conditioning of your brain, it captures you. When that conditioning says, this is me, the innocent child believes it. Of course, if we had a clear mind all our lives and then suddenly at the age of 40 or something, thought came and ego came, we'd be like, what the fuck? But the child's innocent. What's innocent mean? Trust everything without knowledge. And this important lesson, yes, evil can destroy the good, the innocent. It does happen. I'm not saying there's not justice and karma and all that. I'm just saying innocence is destroyed. This world is injustice, but karma is justice. Do you believe in justice? I don't. I believe in understanding, personally. And let me have a drink. So when you are in mental level conflict, it sets up a karmic contest. And the one whose judgment is more aligned with the fact benefits. And the one that isn't loses, yeah? But one could concede and say it's all my fault, even though it isn't. That happens a lot, right? What I'm saying, I've got to look into this because I've got to discover I am. It depends on their understanding. That's right. I've got to. If they never understand that they weren't at fault, they will never. No, I can't say they will never get their karma back. So that makes it sound like it's money. It's not. You see, awareness is the non-like. Awareness is the space we see outside. See that space pervades everything, even matter. Yeah. Do you know scientists call consciousness a hard problem of science? I can't find it anywhere, and they can't even explain it. Because why do you need awareness and the mechanical process? Why don't you just have the life process without the awareness? What difference would it make? And they can't find it and they can't explain it. And they've got 10 theories about it, leading theories about it, and they're all rubbish. But there is, you see, science measures reality from the outside and denies our insight, yeah? But we're the inside of the world they measure. Why do you divide the human process from the cosmic process? What is the justification? Because the Big Bang is one thing. 5 minutes later, it's still one process. Everything in it is affecting everybody. Right now, everything in existence is making you what you are. That's the understanding of science. And also, the Big Bang, you are the Big Bang still moving. It's gone through a lot of processes. That's factual if you believe in the Big Bang. But, the evidence, we don't have to say it was a Big Bang, but it's quite clear that we came from a 0 point. We were all the same at the beginning. That's the point. And awareness is always the same one to another. How can you get different awareness? The content can differ between me and you, but awareness itself is invariant. Um, Look, I'll be honest with you, yeah. If you're still on the level of judgment, and not just judgment, we we can look. If someone's not honest about themselves, sometimes in order to function, you've got to make a conclusion. So because they won't tell me, you think, right, I can't act unless I know. So I've got to form a conclusion, what's most likely, and do that. So people who conceal themselves and hide themselves invite judgment because one can't understand them. So people who are narcissistic and secretive and extract from you, how can they redeem their karma? It is a fucking tragic thing, I promise you that. For them, not actually, but I'm not going to go into that. Yeah. Okay. Now, ego always wants to drag the organism to hell, which is the organism is then is extracted from energetically, the pain, the crying, the sorrow. That's one thing. And the ego fucks off and becomes, it joins the demonic field. That's what demons are. So if you're possessed by your ego, you are possessed by a big demon, but that's normal. Don't worry about it. If the heart wins, it can decide what is, it can manifest. But if you're aligned with the truth, the fact, the actual, we're in a different terrain altogether because we observe and understand the movement of the heart and see it's an impersonal, energetic thing that we label and make personal. And the mind is not personal. Everyone's conditioned by the same society. Everyone's got a brain which is billions of years old evolutionary. And if you put two hearts or two brains on the table, they're not different, right? So what is personal about us? Our conditioning. Society blames you for being what you are. And therefore, it can't blame nature for you being what you are. It can't blame the cosmos. So it blames you. Which, what is you? The social process pretending to be you. Do you see? So this process, which is mental, it's our minds that create the forms of social existence and maintain it. So it came out of us, and that pretends to be us and sent us to heaven or hell. What is heaven or hell? When the consciousness, when the body, dies, the consciousness delocalizes according to its capacity, its energy. And if it can't go very far, it can walk the earth plane in energetic form and be aimless. If it raises beyond that into the realm of desire and fear, it can be eviscerated in hell or become demonic. There are two possibilities. Oh, fuck this. Oh, I can't be asked to do this. It's so fucking exhaustive process. What are we actually going about here? Most people are going to hell now. Yeah. I don't fucking know whether I'm going to heaven or hell. I'm very naughty. I'm kind of good as well, but I hide my goodness. But I'm very naughty. I won't take shit from anyone. I say disgusting and disgraceful things. But I'm myself in freedom. I'm honest. But I see and understand clearly. But in order to see and understand, I had to do things that hurt people. Like, fuck off. Maybe it didn't hurt them, but I have to be alone. I, I can't have relationships right now. I can talk to people. I can hang out with them. I was hanging out with a couple of cool people today, but and I was chatting to other people, but I don't see any person unless they're sexy. Then I see them. But what I mean is, it's nature or conditioning that dominates us. Conditioning, it's tragic to be quite honest. If you're caught by society, it's tragic. You should just fuck off and be free. Doesn't matter if you die, mate. Much better than fucking being captured by society and your own conditioning. I don't have this problem. My so-called intellect, it's actually neurology, isn't it? It's the brain, but we perceive it on a different level as thought. So thought is a mimetic rendering of neurological activity. And what they called spirits, demons, good energies also are actually field dynamics that we produce. If I'm hurt, I produce a field of hurt, and it affects it. And they can delocalize and act in the affective field, which is emotional field, and they do that to try and collect energy through their own process. We don't need to understand what it is because they're a formless thing from our point of view. They do actually have a form. It's an energetic form, a bit like a cloud or plasma is the best example. The heart is like it produces a massive magnetic field around the body. When I say massive, I mean it's only 3 foot like, beyond, but that's quite big if you think about it. And the heart is always trying to contain, observe, not let things get carried away. But if it loses strength because it's been hurt or traumatized, all these movements of effect, psychology, trauma, and everything assail the brain and like pummel it. And the non ordinary experience we call psychosis is that. But because society and psychiatry pathologizes it without any fundamental understanding, says it shouldn't be, it's a disease, then it's resisted or thwarted, and the person is afraid to go through it and thinks it's wrong. But in shamanic cultures, they observe and go through it. That's what I did. And that's why my ego, or no, it wasn't ego. It was like I haven't got a conscious intellect. I haven't got that capacity to abstract. I can imagine, not voluntarily. I can't voluntarily imagine. I probably could. No, if I want to, I have to want to. But why would I want to? So I can't. Anyway, look. Why am I saying all this? Yeah, there's only one thing to know. If you're traumatized and if people have hurt you, let go. Just let go. Why not? You know, if you don't let go, you're carrying a burden of misery and toxicity which poisons you, isn't it? If you can't know, if you can't let go, then that is just as honorable. But if you choose not to let go, then that's selfishness or not self attachment. It is selfish, but it's also attachment. That's attachment to karma. But if you can't let go because you actually haven't got the spiritual energy to say to let go, you will know because you can't let go. And that means you have to sustain it. If you're someone who's avoided seeing things as they are and you've hurt people without looking at it, obviously the only sane thing to do is to look at it. Not judge anyone or yourself, not excuse yourself either. Just see things as they are. If you can't do that, you missed the boat. And it might be difficult to resolve your karma. If you were attached to someone who was negative, vampiric, exploitative, and ended up destroying your life, then you chose that. So they don't get karma for a choice you made. But obviously they accumulate karma for the way they treat you, but that hurts you both. That's why it's so fucking ridiculous to persist in a relationship where you can't communicate honestly and resolve problems, because then there's an accumulation of karma. And the sad thing is, if one awakens and walks away, who's going to pay the karma? The one who sees and understands, or the one who judges? And that's fucking most people, mate. But if you are going to hell, look, I can't say I don't think I'm going to heaven or hell, you know. But if I, no, what can I say? The persecutory psychosis tried to convince me it was actually ancestral energies, family, living and dead. Their energies inside you, they can see what you see and they resist the movement of perception and clarity. And they fucking tormented me for over a decade. Hellish it was. But once you understand it, you can just be silent and watch. And when you're absolutely silent and watch, they can't do anything. They can try, and even if they do, so you when you're seeing it, it's all right. But it's when you're unconscious. So the brain has discovered. Look, I'm not going to go into all that shit. So if you've got a lot of karma and you haven't got the opportunity to forgive or to be forgiven or anything, don't worry about it, mate. Just fucking enjoy life, do what you want to do. Don't take it badly. It may be that what you think you are, is in hell forever, isn't it? But are you what you think you are, or are you what you see you are? Which is awareness, consciousness, if you like. But actually just awareness, because all the consciousness is terrestrial, is social, is biological here. Why am I saying this bullshit? Because it's the only thing you cunts need to know. But you also need to know that those who are realizing spiritually, those who are becoming very awake and very clean, they ain't all angels, you know that. I've had a tough life. I live in difficult circumstances. Walk in aggressive circles, exploitative circles, but I cannot take shit. So I'm pretty aggressive. Social, not verbally, not physically, but I'm aggressive, sexual. I do drugs and drink. You would judge that, wouldn't you? Karmic. But I understand the actual. And I understand what processes are make my life so difficult. So it's all right, mate. You think what you like. When you're clear, there's no personality or personal shit. There cannot be a personal relationship in this state. There can be love, sex, anything like that, but not personal, because we are the cosmic process. That's why enlightenment people always end up understanding the cosmos. I understand the cosmos, but I'm not what enlightened, which means silence and stillness. There's an allostatic movement of evolution. I don't know where it's going, but you just got to walk because that's nature. Nature is free, so she doesn't strive towards the future. Which is not to say there's not a component outside time, which is seeing the past and the future. But anyway, I can't be fucking bothered. I want to communicate, but not on the internet. That's it.